What's up? Welcome to my video. Alright, so I am stuck right now. My truck is dead. So basically, I went out, had a craving for some donuts, went to Dunkin' Donuts, parked my car, went in, got 12 donuts, came out, and ate a couple, was ready to go home, and this truck is not doing anything. It's not starting, it's not doing anything. I mean, all the lights on, my radio worked, blower motor worked. It's kind of cold outside, but there's no heat. I mean, everything in the car works except I don't hear anything. It's not cranking up. It's not cranking up at all. So I was thinking to myself, it did this once, like about 3 weeks ago in the morning. So I'm like, okay, but I got it started. I got the truck started like 3 weeks ago. Had it started 3 weeks ago, no problems. I mean, it took like 5-6 tries, but I had it going. This time I try to do the same thing. I try to crank it up like 6-7 times. Nothing. I think I did it 10 times before I just stopped. I was like, okay. Last time was probably like a weak battery. This time it's probably like a dead battery, some kind of electrical issue or something like that. So I went out, opened the hood up, checking out the battery and stuff like that. I noticed that the terminals were corroded. I'm like, all right, that's normally that could be something that could cause this not to start. Like terminals kind of loose. I mean, not really loose, but loose enough where I could just take it off. So I took it off. I looked at the terminals on the battery. I looked at the terminals on the wire. I'm like, it's kind of dirty. It's kind of corroded. There's some bluish white stuff on there. Not all around. I've seen worse. But I was like, okay. So I took some napkins. I had a bottle of water, and I started try to wipe the stuff off. It didn't really do much. So there was like a Dollar Tree around the area. I walked to the Dollar Tree, got like a couple of things, brushes, metal brushes, for $1. Came back, and also this $1 bolt tightening. What is it? It's like a little screwdriver thing of like. But I cleaned it off. Clean the terminals off. It was all clean. Threw some water on there. Cleaned off the terminal from the car. Clean the terminals from the battery. Popped it back on. Tightened it up. I'm like, okay, I should be able to get home after this. Went back to my car, trying to turn on. Nothing. But everything else worked. I mean, the alarm on my car worked. The remote worked because, you know, when I went to Dollar Tree, I actually was able to lock the car. So I'm like, oh man, all right, seems like a bigger situation now. So I went in my car, tried about 5 times to start it, got back in my truck, started about 5 times to start it, did nothing. So I was like, okay, let's troubleshoot it again. Went back out. I'm like, what could it be? I mean, battery I bought like about a year ago, so I didn't really think it was the battery. I was hoping it wasn't the battery, but I was like, okay. I gotta get somebody to try to jump it. I mean, I wasn't 100% sure it was in the battery, so I asked a couple people to help me jump it. I got one person who wanted to help me out, put some cables on there, and try to jump it. Nothing. Had it on there for 3 minutes. Try to turn it. Nothing. Try to turn it over. Trying to crank it. Nothing. So like at that point, I knew it was in the battery. Gotta be something else. I looked at the ground wire, try to look at the ground wire. Ground wire seems to be good. So I was like, what else could it be at this point? Maybe it's the alternator. But here's the thing: I didn't let the car wasn't running, when it died out at all, and giving it a jump, the test for the alternator, it would have worked. The car would have turned on, and then it would have died out as soon as the cable was taken off. So I knew 100% it was in the battery at that point. I knew 100% it was in the alternator at that point. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, what else could it be? What else could it be? I was looking around, and I noticed the fuse box. Took the cover off. I was like, maybe it's the fuses, maybe it's the relays, because I'm hearing a click. So I was like checking out the relay. I was hearing a click. Didn't know where it's coming from, solenoid or the relay. So I was looking around for the other relays. Like, might as well just swap out the relays and see if maybe it's the relay. Swapped out the relay. Saw another relay that had the same voltage, etc., etc. Pop that out. Pop the star relay out. Swap it. See if it makes any difference. Nothing. Tried a couple of times to turn it over. Nothing. Didn't hear anything. So at that point, I knew it was a relay. So I was looking at the fuses, trying to spot whether there's like a burnt fuse or something like that. And I didn't spot any burnt fuses. So I was thinking to myself, yeah, it still could be the fuse. But all the times where I had a fuse issue, I was thinking to myself, I've had 2 instances where I had a fuse issue where the car wouldn't start. One time, first situation was there was no electricity in the car whatsoever. The car wouldn't start. No electricity, nothing. Turned out it was the main fuse that connected the battery to the fuse box. So the fuse box wasn't getting any batteries, any electricity at all. Changed out the main fuse, and the car, everything in the car worked, started right up. This is not the situation though, considering everything in the car works. All the electricity in the car works. It's just not cranking. So the other instance I had where a fuse caused my car not to start was okay, what happened was, I think it was either the ECM fuse or the fuel pump fuse that caused the car my car not to turn on when I had this situation. This is an old car that I had. So basically the car that I had would crank, it just wouldn't turn over. It would crank pretty strong. It just wouldn't turn over. It turned out it was the fuel pump. Now, I can't say if it's not the fuel pump on this car, but we haven't gotten to that point yet, considering this truck is not cranking at all. So I can rule out the fuel pump as the major thing, because it's not cranking at all. I mean, if it was cranking and it wouldn't crank over, then I would, it could be the fuel pump or a bunch of other things. But at this point, it's neither of those situations. Now, my first thought on this would be the starter on this truck. That's what my first thought was. It'd be the starter in this truck. But I changed out the starter like about a year ago, and it was a refurbished starter. Like, it wasn't brand new. I think I bought the starter for like $175 or something like that. AutoZone. It's got a lifetime warranty on it, and I'm hoping that's not the starter, because I spent time putting it in, taking it out, putting it in a couple hours, and I do not, even if I'm getting a free starter, I do not want to spend time with that. It kind of sucks, but at this point, there's really nothing that I could think of as far as causing the starter not to crank at all. I mean, I guess there could be a couple of tests I could do on it where I could try to knock the starter, see if that changes anything. But I don't have a crowbar long enough to do that. And the other thing is, I could probably use, I could probably try to start it putting a wire to the solenoid of the starter, but I'm gonna save that for when I get back home, because I'm actually waiting for a tow right now from AAA. It's gonna be the second tow I had on this truck for the last 2 months, but that's another story. I had a flat back then, but I'm gonna keep you guys updated on this, see what happens. So I told you guys I'd keep you updated on it, and I had to wait 2 hours for AAA to pick up my truck. And guess what? What it turned out to be exactly what I thought it would be, which was the starter. It lasted me probably less than 20,000 miles. How many miles I put on there for the year? I didn't drive that much. But once I got it back home, I was able to test it out. I bumped the starter a couple of times with a long crowbar. Didn't work. So I actually put a wire to the solenoid and see if that actually did anything, and it was dead silent. Put a wire to the solenoid of the starter, and at that point I knew 100% that was a starter. Took it to AutoZone, and they gave me a choice of either getting a brand new starter, and I'd have to pay full price for it, which is like $300, or get a free replacement, which was $150. Well, no, get a free replacement, and which is free. Originally costing like $175, but it's free. So I was like, I'd really prefer a brand new one, but considering I'd have to shell out $300, I wasn't gonna do that. Got the starter, put it in the truck, and bam, it worked. And it's working. It's in, cranked it up a couple of times. It works. It was the starter that was the issue, guys. So if you guys still here, I hope this has helped you guys out. I hope this has, if you guys are on this, you guys are listening to me, I'm pretty sure you guys are here because you guys have starting issues. It turned out it was a starter, guys. If you guys have all those, I went through a whole diagnosis. If you guys had gone through all those things, and car wouldn't start, or your car truck wouldn't start, it's probably a starter. But you guys want to leave a comment, please leave a comment. Please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe, guys. All right, take care.